Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the BitcoinMeister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to This Week in Bitcoin. Today is November the 6th, 2020. Strong hand, long term thinking. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. Unconfiscatable. One Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. I'm offended by selling. Be a unique beast in motion, 5-digit realm. Oh, we're going to talk about that 5-digit realm. Okay, hello, my elite friends. How are all of you doing today? It has been quite a bullish week for Bitcoin, hasn't it? We were a little worried about that election, and then, whoa, afterwards, what the heck is going on? It's pretty awesome. If you have questions for the guests, I have answers. They have answers. Type in BitcoinMeister, do a super chat if you've got questions. But we're going to start it right off today. We got an all-star panel back here making ugly old goat. They haven't been on for a little while. I've been trying to get them on, and now they're back. And Guy Swan has returned. He's a regular, baby. All right, we'll start it off with Guy Swan. We had an election on Tuesday, and then these last few days, the price of Bitcoin has it's gone through the roof. It's been great. There was before the election, there was a lot of uncertainty, and I thought we could get into a situation where we wouldn't know who the president was. There'd be disturbances, and we could have a March 12th type of situation. But as the night progressed, it became pretty obvious the way things were going that Biden would win, and that there would be delays, but there would be no disturbances on the streets. So, Guy Swan, why is Bitcoin? What is going on with Bitcoin here? What's your theory?
I honestly think that in a combination with kind of the corporate atmosphere, like seeing the kind of the writing on the wall with Michael Saylor breaking through that wall prior to the rest of the industry, I guess you could say, is that corporate treasuries are looking at Bitcoin in a very new light right now. And I don't think it mattered who we got as president. Is the only thing that we could count on here is massive amounts of money printing and new capital controls. I think the very use case and the incentive to look closely at Bitcoin has done nothing but increase. And this election is kind of a great example of do we get it, shitty painted blue, or do we get it painted blue, or do we get it painted red? But we're going to get the same thing either way. And I think it's becoming a road to safety. People are looking to it as a way to not be exposed to these awful treasury bonds. To like, everybody's desperate for yield across the board, and here is this thing that goes up when things look stressful, when things look bad, and it's getting safer and safer as time goes on. And the one issue we had, or the one hiccup back in March, I think was one of the most bullish events that happened this year during the COVID crisis, was we had a massive liquidity crisis, and everybody had to shore up leverage all over the place. And here is Bitcoin, this highly liquid asset that you can move in a matter of hours, and it plummeted and recovered in like a month. Like, it went from 9,000 to 3,000 back to 9,000. Like, just the strongest, there's no better demonstration of this isn't going anywhere than something like that happening. And I think that was a major move. I think the perception around this is completely changed. And I don't think anybody is of all the people who are celebrating that, this looks like it's going to go to Biden. And I think the most hilarious tweet, I was just rolling on the floor laughing when I saw this, was I didn't vote. I can't remember who it was, unfortunately, but it says I didn't vote because I think both Biden and Trump are really great, and I think I'd just be happy with whichever one we got.
Dude, I've never heard that one before. I mean, at least the person's peaceful. I mean, that's
Well, it was a potent...
that's a different one. Now, wait, guys, going back, and I'm so glad you brought back those March 12th sweet memories, because to us it is a sweet memory. But all those people panicking now, they look like complete. They look like as smart as the person who tweeted out that thing. But do you foresee? Are we living through institutional FOMO right now? Is that going on behind the scenes? That there are all the Michael Saylor effect is a bunch of other institutions, of other corporations, whatever you want to call them, loading up on Bitcoin here in their treasuries.
Yeah, I think I don't think we're in institutional FOMO yet, but we are. Let's say the first couple of snowballs are starting to roll, and people are getting nervous. I mean, look what happened to MicroStrategy stock. Just in the last like 5 months, they went from 4 months actually. I think it was like 123 to 186, and they're riding this with Bitcoin. And then for their treasury to go from, they made a $425 million purchase, and their treasury is now worth what, 600 million or something. Like I don't know. It's just like the moves in such a short span are ridiculous. And you know, Michael Saylor has made it very clear that his conviction is that, like, no, I'm not selling this. Like what do I sell it for? Like, do I sell it back to the thing that's just bleeding? Because like that gets me nowhere. Like, I'm holding this indefinitely. Like, this is now our treasury strategy. And I think there's a lot of brewing FOMO, but I don't think we've seen anything what the FOMO is actually going to look like. The only people who are excited right now are Bitcoiners, and it's just we've broken through that window where we know we are moving into the next phase of this thing. Corporate boards are now paying very close attention. The social permission has been given to talk about it and not sound like an idiot. And God forbid, like, holy crap, the Iranian central bank is talking about using it to get around capital controls. Like these are not insignificant moves. Like, these are major mental shifts. They don't show up in the price very quickly. Corporate boards move very slowly. They, very cautious about decisions like this. Central banks obviously do not move very quickly, and they don't really have a market to utilize this into. But now part of the license for miners in Iran is they got to sell it to the Iranian central bank. And that is a shocking mental shift. And I think the last 6 months, we have broken through the Overton window, and now we are sitting in a new environment, and the price is starting to reflect that. I think we are looking at a crazy, exciting, and scary 12 months here in Bitcoin.
All right, break on through to the other side and pound that like button. Nick, it's your turn. What's your take? What's your reasoning behind what's been going on this week in terms of the price?
One of the best things about this election is that all of the normal people and pre-coiners are so distracted on the elections. It just gives us more time to accumulate Bitcoin. That's one of the best things about it. Like, we could go up very, very quickly, and I mean, we have been, but like, I constantly, now that we're in this 12 to 20k range, I remember back in 2017 when we jumped up 5k in one day. So I know how fast this stuff can go, and I'm constantly looking at the spreadsheet that NVK from CoinKite made about all the institutional, all the publicly traded companies that have Bitcoin. They have a lot of Bitcoin, a lot more than me. And I totally agree with the institutional FOMO. Like, I don't think we've seen it at peak yet, but definitely, like, the thing Square did where they literally laid out a solid foundation, like that paper that they released, other companies can just literally take that and use it for themselves, and it can speed up institutional buying. And I'm extremely bullish all around.
Nice reference to a Rodolfo Novak's spreadsheet that shows. He was on the show a while ago. I should get him back on. But it is quite nice to see even some of these companies you haven't heard of are stocking up on it, and that's going to be. I'm glad he's keeping track of it. And for the Bitcoiners, first of all, you made a great point that most of the world is still distracted by all the noise that's out there with the election. And behind the scenes, we're getting richer, baby. I mean, it's unbelievable. But so us Bitcoiners take a look at that spreadsheet, and it's small now, but it seems to grow quite often. And there'll be a lot more companies on there. And yeah, I guess we're on the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the FOMO, institutional FOMO. All right, let's go to the veteran here of the bunch. You've seen a lot of life. Ugly old goat. So what's your take on what's going on with Bitcoin right now?
Well, right now you're in the markup phase. So this is the hard part. It's been pretty easy so far this year. And I can kind of tell my people, before I've had sizable position because the risk was low, and now I'll be reducing my position because the risks are just higher now because of the price volatility. You're saying a change of character in the market. The structure is still very good. I don't see. I did notice that we went a little bit of a contango today, but not much. And but I think, frankly, I don't like it. I'm not, I guess my view, I'm a natural optimist, but I'm just a little bit pessimistic because it doesn't really matter who's elected. I think that what we have here now is just too big to save. And I think people are just starting to realize that now. And so I see the biggest problem as not being Bitcoin at all. And I think, I don't know if you follow Preston Fish, but I followed him and I think he nailed it. He says the real issue is, it's not Bitcoin, but how are we going to get the people that are in traditional assets out of there? I think that the new gold are the retirement funds. And I think there's sitting ducks right now, and there won't be any gold confiscation. I think gold is probably a pretty darn good investment still because it's another form of sound money. But what can be confiscated are the people's retirement funds, and that will be devastating. And when it happens, it'll be overnight. So I for the first time, and I never thought I'd say it, but I've been telling people, they should really be looking at their total portfolios. And if you're just heavy into your retirement is dependent on your house, which is your primary asset, and your retirement, you should maybe be willing to pay the tax and get out of that retirement fund and put some of it into Bitcoin. So because I just think that's going to be a real big problem. I see that's the biggest obstacle. The problem's not going to be Bitcoin. The solution is Bitcoin. So that's my primary concern now.
I want to remind everyone there is an article that you wrote about the current situation in the United States. It's linked to below. It's linked to below. If people want to check out your article. So I mean, it was a little bit of a downer there. You're worried about the normies, 401ks and IRAs. I think those of us in this space have been talking about it for a while, that eventually those honeypots would be tapped into by sociopathic governments throughout the world. So, I mean, if you're younger, I wouldn't be. Maybe Bitcoin should be your retirement fund. I'm not a financial advisor, but Bitcoin is my retirement fund. I'll tell you that. Now, right now, you said you were a little worried about the price volatility and everything, and I want to put it out there that it's in the 15s right now, but things could be kind of frothy, and I would not be shocked if it dropped to $12,000, $11,000. So, are you expecting a correction of some sort also, Ugly?
It's going to come, but there's no reason to think it's coming at this level yet. Basically, you have to be prepared for that big drop, and it's not going to. I don't think it's going to be that big initially. So can we go back down under 9,000? Yeah, we can. But yeah, I don't think it's necessarily over yet. We got a little bit, yeah, but it's not happening now. And if we hit contract highs, now we got a new ball game. But we've got a lot of. I still think you've got the crypto world to deal with, and I do think as long as we have all the other quote alternatives, we're going to have problems. And so the sooner we can kind of get on the Bitcoin standard and people realize why Bitcoin is unique, I think the sooner we're going to get there. The competition is not what's going to be the standard, but the competition is on the standard, and the smart money is realizing that. I think, yeah, Michael Saylor's thing was big. It really was, and he outlined it perfectly. And if you've ever handled that amount of money, he entered into the market. I mean, it was a major operation to make that purchase without it moving the market substantially. And they didn't just jump in and buy it. They were buying and selling and worked their way into it. Now, whether or not in my experience is, very few people have been able to just buy Bitcoin and not be tested by fire. So there could be still a very big test of fire before we really, move on to substantially higher levels. I mean, I'm long. I've never done better. We just hit new equity highs, and I'm long. I'm leveraged, and I took off 20% of my position now. Very comfortable with staying long, but I mean, I don't. I recommend dollar cost averaging, guys, and every month I publish the statistics, and you know what? If you dollar cost average, you're just doing great. I started, if you started buying Bitcoin and put your Social Security check in there since the peak there in January 2014, I think was the peak, you would be a millionaire and almost a multimillionaire by putting in $1,000 a month. It's hard to believe that. But that's exactly, what you would do if you just made a monthly purchase. And that's what basically, you don't hear any of these financial advisors advising that, but that's what I tell people to do. And that's what I did. Basically, I started drawing Social Security as soon as I learned about Bitcoin. I just put it in Bitcoin every month. And that's how you do it, guys.
That's what, when the younger versions of you, the people who get the government stimulus check, they could do a similar thing. Now, I want to put it out there real quick that it's going to be fun. Now, I don't know if this is going to happen, but people worrying about it dropping to $12,000. I mean, that's a pretty cool place to be in when some people are going to say it's bad to drop to 12,000. Now, but I'm going to. I believe that since we made it through the election, that I don't think Bitcoin can ever return to the 4-digit realm, but that's my opinion right there. Do you think on the positive side, though, Ugly, that we've got about 50 some days left in this year? Could Bitcoin hit an all-time high by the end of this year?
I could. I'd be a little bit surprised, but if we do, then here's the thing: is we're approaching an era that's never happened before, and this is what nothing can be surprising anymore, and nothing's going to make sense. The only thing that is going to make sense is people that have themselves thinking in Bitcoin and are on the Bitcoin standard. We're all socialists now. Who would have thought? Who was the Democratic candidate was just the laughing stock because he wanted to give everybody $1,000. Well, we're doing that in spades now. We're all socialists now. We're all on the dole, and it doesn't. And that's we're basically a thoroughly corrupt society because we have a thoroughly corrupt money, and that's what inflation does. And there's a whole new world that's being developed, and it's going to come out of Bitcoin, and it actually is going to have a new morality, and it's going to not be the new morality that we came up with the 60s, but it's going to be, I think, a much improved one. And the Bitcoin community is strong, and you're talking about Michael Saylor. Well, why you hold that Bitcoin, you don't get rid of it. It really becomes collateral now, because you have Bitcoin, you can do so many other things, and that's what it boils down to. Is if you're a business and you're not on Bitcoin, you're going to be sucking the hind tit, and the sooner you can get on it and start thinking in those terms, the better off you're going to be.
All right. I want to say something. You said Bitcoin tests us all by fire. This is what I say. I say, just like Harry Nilsson, jump into the fire and pound that like button, baby. Right. It's a great song by Harry Nilsson. Everybody look it up. Listen to it right now. Jump into the fire with Bitcoin. All right. Now, Nick, we're going to try to wrap up the political stuff right now. But if you had anything to add to what Ugly said, but I want to say this. We've things are still up in the air a little bit with the presidential election. Do you see that we're going to have a divided government, most likely? The Senate and the president will be of a different party. I think that's really bullish for Bitcoin. I think that's one of the reasons that I think it's bullish for financial people in general. That if the government will, there will be gridlock and they won't be able to do all the radical stuff that everybody was worried about beforehand. I mean, and even the IRA and the 401k confiscations can be delayed when you have two parties fighting it off there. But wrapping up with politically connected stuff here, do you have anything, Nick, to add to about the election? If it has any future anything that's going to do to Bitcoin very soon, tell me about it, Nick.
One thing I wanted to point out that Goat just said is that everyone's a socialist, and like everyone was ripping on Andrew Yang for wanting to print, and give everyone $1,000 a month, and now that's what we see everyone want now, and the stimulus checks and all that, and it's just like, I don't know if I'm the only person who thinks this way, but I've been thinking like, I didn't get a stimulus check last time. And if I were to get like a one-time stimulus check, would I take it and convert it into Bitcoin? Or am I just like way too much of like an American and a capitalist and I don't want free money and handouts? Like, would I just rip up the money and throw it in the trash? Like, I've honestly been debating that if I even do get get a stimulus check, if they ever come around again. And the election, it's just been, I don't know. I've been trying to take some time off Twitter the past few days just because, I don't know. It's
good, man.
Yeah.
Have you ever read? Are you familiar with Hans Sonholtz? He was in the Congress. Okay, he used to run the Foundation for Economic Education, and fascinating history. He was actually a World War II. He pilot under Nazi Germany, got shot down, and was a prisoner of war in the United States, and then he immigrated to the United States. But and he was big. He was well known in my day, and really a great guy too. But he brought that up. People would ask him, "Well, what do we do? I mean, we're paying this Social Security," and he says, "Yeah." I said, "This can be hard," but he said, really, they're going to take it. It's a tax. Just don't collect it. And I have to kind of sadly say that I took it, and knowing that they'd say, yeah, I get what he was talking about. So I think you make a very valid point. What it is, it's a reflection of our very being. We've had this for 4 generations. It goes back to my grandparents when they voted themselves Social Security to begin with. My grandfather worked for maybe 5 years, and he lived to be 92 years old and got a Social Security check every day or every month. So, I mean, once we go down that road, how do we get back?
Well, Ugly, we're talking about the morality of taking a check from the government. And the way Ayn Rand explained it, and her current supporters like Yaron Brooks support it, is that if you have been vocal against the system, okay, and you've paid into the system, then and you're being handed money, well, you've done your part. You've said this is not the way things should work. But they're refunding me the money that they've stolen from me. So it's all right for me to take the check. I make it simpler. I mean, respect the money. The dollar is still the dollar, okay? They're giving you free dollars. You pay taxes all your life. I would not rip it off. I would get that Bitcoin, okay?
Yeah, well, I never asked for a stimulus check when I got one. You know, they just wow, my benefits went up, and I didn't. You know, they were taking. I don't know what it was about, but it's and I think, but I agree with that too. I mean, the one thing that's going on now is not a selective bailout where we're just bailing out certain companies or certain banks. Everybody's getting bailed out. So in that sense, it is an improvement. But I think it's waking up people to the problem, and I think that's going to be that's what's really great.
Well, Guy, were you just about to say something about this?
Yeah. In my mind, it's my money. Like I've given them absolute bukus, and for services that I think have been utter failures, give me a refund. Like literally, there is nothing as wasteful and corrupt as the majority of the services that I get from the government. And if I had an internet service that cost me $500 a month and was crappier than dial-up and only operating about 6 hours out of the day, like I would want my funds back. And if they're going to offer any of it back, well then yeah, it's mine. Like suck it. I'm going to put it into Bitcoin. I think taking that money and putting it into Bitcoin is literally divesting from the value that their purchasing power has. So I think it's actually more valuable. I mean, if you tear it up, technically you're actually limiting the inflation that they're doing, the damage that they're doing to their own system. So if you allow them to print it and then you put it into a harder asset like Bitcoin that you hold and you take with you if you end up voting with your feet and piecing out when the crap hits the fan, well then you've done more damage by accepting your refund and by holding it in assets that do not add value to their financial system.
Oh yeah, I agree and see where you're coming from on that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's been like a super unpopular opinion I've been holding for a while. I rip on socialism all the time, and it just would feel weird to take free money, but. Yeah,
I totally get it. Like I had a really long period of time where I was like, is this against my principle? Like, how do I square this? How do I square this circle here? And it does seem like at odds, but I think that becomes a question or a moral question when they have matched in giving you the amount that you have paid in. And that's value wise. And I don't think there's any day where that ever actually matches. Or a day where they actually produce non-corrupt, non-wasteful, let's get rid of the subsidies, let's get rid of the wars, like all the crap that I had no choice but to pay for. So I see it as well,
I might be an exception because I did 11 years in federal prison, so they actually took care of me for a long time.
Oh man, and go to check out the archives when Ugly was on the show. Another time he told a story that will scare you straight about like a big bird guy in prison. I mean, you don't want to end up in prison.
Everybody called me Big Bird.
Yeah, it's anyway. That's in the archives.
I was Big Bird.
You can check out all my old shows, disruptmeister.com, TECHBALT.com, and follow me on Twitter at TECHBALT. Pound that like button. Let's stick with Guy Swan here real quick. We'll wrap it up with politically. You're in a state where they actually the polls were wrong, and the senator that was elected was a shock to some people, and this has brought about divided government. Partially due to that. Do you think divided government will slow down the deterioration of everything, and that do you think the situation we're about to enter politically is going to be good for Bitcoin, and do you think we could get an all-time high by the end of the year this year?
That's a bunch. First, the funniest thing, like I don't have a horse in this race. I guess if you put a gun to my head and you asked me to choose, I'd choose Trump. But but I can't really see any benefit. Like I'm kind of with the comment that was made earlier, which by the way was a sarcastic tweet. And that was the hilarity of the tweet, is that like they didn't vote because, oh, both Biden and Trump are great paragons of integrity and competence, you know. And the hilarity of it is that it's so obviously not true to anybody anywhere that these two could not be worse. You couldn't have a worse choice. And then God, look at Kamala. Kamala is like a demon child, like ugh. But like her history. No, I mean, like her history of like literally knowing someone was innocent on death row and withholding evidence because it would look bad for her career. Like, I mean, like she should actually be in prison. Like this, like that's not even like a question. That's not even like a did she do it? Like we know that she did this for hundreds of innocent people who were behind bars. But you know, let's whatever. But one of the things I find most interesting is that, like, I think it was the Ron Paul nomination years, and then back around when this happened to Bernie Sanders with Hillary, the staggering amount of election fraud that goes on. And what's hilarious is that, like, I don't even know, like, I would say probably, I don't know. It's hard to say, and I don't really care which way the bulk of the election fraud is, like which side it would be on. You know, maybe it's just because I'm closer to Trump circles on Twitter. Like I see it more from that side right now. But the hilarity to me is that the people who are so stuck in which team I'm on, is that the same people who were squealing and posting day in and day out about how Bernie was utterly robbed, and just the whole paragon, like just lists and lists of all the election fraud. Same thing that happened in Ron Paul nomination. I'll never forget, there was a conversation with the guy who did the actual count in some county in, I think it was like New Hampshire or something like that. And then after they reported the numbers, like he was the one in charge of reporting the numbers, and the official numbers that went through were what were reported on the news, and they were just totally made up numbers. And he's talking to them, and he's like, well, that was the numbers they gave us. And he says, no, I am the one who gave you the numbers. Where did you get those numbers? Like, they're the ones that they gave us. Like, just the idea is, I think the whole thing is so saturated with fraud and corruption, but whichever side is winning must insist that it's suddenly a paragon of integrity. Like, that suddenly everything is right, and anybody who even suggests that there is anything wrong, even though they may have said the exact same thing in the previous time that we all got together and counted a bunch of pieces of paper, is that, like, oh, suddenly it's not there when my team is winning. So I obviously don't play that game, you know, win stupid games.
If I recall,
or play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yeah, if I recall, Ron Paul was not even allowed to speak at the Republican convention.
Yeah.
And
he had to have his own. He had to have his own down the street.
And,
they had more people.
I was highly responsible. I work on elections. That was one of my original business, and we were very much responsible for him winning those 4 states by the campaign that we did. So, you know, the Republicans really have no ground to stand on. But
exactly.
Yeah, but I think, and that's kind of what I bring up in the article. We can go and view all of our presidents from the foundation of our country. And the idea that any of them really have a character that should be emulated, they none of them do. And so, you know, the best that I see, and you know, why Trump impressed me, because I enjoy politics. He's so much fun to watch. He's just a great entertainer. He's like the guy, the comedian that can, you know, shoot down the hecklers. And he seems to have he has the right character flaws for the time. And so what I do think that he gave us at least a delaying mechanism. I think things are going to, if Biden wins, and now, you know what? I think the verdict is out. I don't think it's over. Trump is a very smart player, and it ain't over till the fat lady sings. And so you don't look fat to me, Adam. So I think you're calling that election a little too quickly.
Well, it's
on that note.
We'll see. Again, you make a good point. It has become entertainment. And the other points that were previously made reminds me of a question. Someone asked me, Adam, how can you say this election process, the counting is not corrupt? How can you say isn't this a corrupt election? And I'm like, dude, I mean, since 2000 at the very least, there's been plenty of corruption. So one side's screaming about it now. This is the way elections work. I mean, don't value your wealth in elections. Do not value your wealth in politicians. Value your wealth in Bitcoin. Pound that like button. So I was going to bring up the ridiculous people bringing up blockchain solutions for what we're going through with the election, but I'm not even going to get into that. I think we all know that it's a bunch of mumbo jumbo. And so I want to go to news. Let's leave the election behind. We're going to stay with the government, unfortunately, on this topic. Silk Road Bitcoin has been confiscated, like 69,000 Bitcoin, $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. It's the largest in terms of dollar worth of Bitcoin ever confiscated by the government. Now, and the market has not reacted. If you actually Google news, do a news Google search for Bitcoin, that's the only story that comes up. It says, Silk Road Bitcoin confiscated, and it says Bitcoin, and then like below that it says like, well, Bitcoin's price goes up. I don't know if they're trying to connect it, but the major story in Bitcoin should be like, the Bitcoin's price is going up, but the mainstream media is just, they think this is a big story. But the funny thing is like, to me, sure, it's a clickbait story. You put in Silk Road, you put in $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, people are interested. But to me, it's not a big story at all. I mean, the United States government will eventually auction it off, okay? But other than that, I think people it's a bunch of clickbaity terms. So, Nick, what's your take on the United States, quote unquote, confiscating? I mean, they had a dude they convinced to give up his Bitcoin. What's your take on this?
I would have liked to see like what actually happened between the government and who they stole it from, like the actual dialogue and exchange, because I don't think people would really want to, just give up 69,000 Bitcoin. So they might have said like, give us the Bitcoin or we'll lock you away, or, fine you have a heavy amount.
Yeah, it might be a deal. It might be a deal. Like, I mean, they do this all the time. They do it specifically against people who are either innocent or not at high risk of actually getting like a heavy punishment from something. They basically lay out this list of usually very redundant crimes or charges essentially against these people, and then show it's like, look, you're going to be in prison for 55 years, but we can bring this down to 2 years if you take our plea deal and give us this money, or unlock this USB, blah blah blah. Like, they just use it as leverage to threaten people into submission. And I suspect that you're right, that it's something very similar to that. It's like, we're going to put you away for the rest of your life and you're never going to see the light of day again unless you give us these coins, and then we'll bring this down to a drug possession charge, and you'll have 5 years and some change, sort of thing.
I was surprised that wasn't the deal originally with Albrecht. That's what always I never understood why that deal wasn't made, because there was no major confiscation. I think the other thing that people need to realize is that when they confiscate property, it's already taken from you. And that's the first thing they do. And the courts have already ruled that while you have constitutional rights, your property doesn't. So it's not a question of whether or not your property is guilty. You have to prove your property is innocent to get it back. And so they seize it, and then it's up to you to prove it innocent to get it back. And so basically what happens to anybody that's been targeted, and it's happened to a lot of innocent people, they just seize up. You can't even hire an attorney because they just seized all your assets. And, that's one of the things. This is we're talking about the value of Bitcoin right now. That's one of the reasons why you have Bitcoin. And it is, you may not be able to leave your country. You may not be able to get out of prison, but they can't get your wealth. So, I mean, I am curious what's going on, because they basically have, Albrecht in Florence at max security with a live prison. I've been to Florence. I was never in the Supermax, but I was at Florence at the medium. And so I get it. I don't understand the timing. It really has me baffled. So I'm curious.
There's also something else to consider, is that it may not be, even though I would suspect that they would try to go like the deal route, like here's your horrible punishment, give us access to the coins, and here's your less punishment. At the exact same time, if you consider just how long those coins have been there, it's a little shocking that someone could have near $1 billion in Bitcoin and not have done any sort of security measures in like multi-sig or setting up.
Yeah, but look at the difference between Arthur Hayes, his indictment, and Albrecht. Basically, the players have become much better. And, Arthur Hayes, I'm sure, the CFTC citation I was expecting, but the criminal indictment, that did shock me. But the fact they could only pick up one of the principles, they knew the game, and they're fully prepared. And I wrote an article on that too. We really, they don't need Arthur Hayes doesn't need our money.
Yeah,
but he needs our support because that's the opening. That's a shot across the bow. That's the opening salvo of the Bitcoin wars. And
it's not even a U.S. company. Like to suggest that they even have jurisdiction.
Yeah, he's a U.S. citizen. That's our little problem.
It's ridiculous.
But I'm sure they when they were traveling, they made sure that only one or two of them were in an extraditable jurisdiction, and that's what we need to do. To fight this battle, we have to have Bitcoin, because that's going to be our defense. And if you're not afraid, look, I live in Mexico. And you better wake up, because I've told people about this. I've actually posted pictures, but they actually have kiosks built now. You're not going to be able to leave the United States without going across a kiosk, just like coming in. And it's all the kiosks are there. It's like the Field of Dreams. They built it, and it's coming. It was actually started under Obama, and now it's under Trump. They haven't manned it, but the computers are there. Everything is there, so it's coming. And you better be prepared for it. And that's all I can say. Because
you learn how to swallow your Trezor and then defecate it out on the other side. I mean, that's one way of doing it.
I wonder if it would still work. Trezor's kind of wide. You're gonna do something maybe like a ledger or a Bitbox might be a little bit easier. I don't know. They're all kind of big.
Check that domain. See if Bitcoin suppository is available. It just might be.
Yeah.
That's a business idea. That's a great business idea.
Open dime, just put it on an open dime.
Oh, yeah, that's small. Pound that like button. Oh, that doesn't sound like a good time to say pound that like button after we talk about that. But anyway, okay. So let's get to the next topic here. Wow, we've been lots of people are giving ugly old gold rave reviews on Twitter right now. You just got a friendly tweet out there by a long-term watcher of the show. All right, let us go. What's that? We talked about real quick. Square. Oh, Square best. They're making a lot of money every quarter. It keeps getting better. They keep selling more Bitcoin. And so on that note, they're obviously dealing with individual retail investors. So I'd love to hear your take on that, Guy Swan. But at the same time, we've had two major stories this year, I'd say. One is more retail related. That's the PayPal. The other one is the Michael Saylor story, which is more, well, obviously it's corporate. So what's your take on Square keeping up the pace, I guess? But what do you think was the bigger story, PayPal or MicroStrategy when we look back on 2020? So it's two different questions there in one.
That's a good question.
Without question, Michael.
No, Guy, it's Guy's turn.
Yeah, Michael Saylor's the story.
Yeah.
We'll get to. Hey, look, guy, take it.
I thought that was okay. Yeah, I don't really. I'm going to remain silent because I don't know much about Square or the PayPal.
Wait, Ugly. It's Guy's turn. Guy is answering the question.
Okay. So I actually agree with Mr. Goat. I think in kind of a short term framing of like, oh, what's the hype of the price right now? I think PayPal probably showed on its face a little faster, but I think the bigger, more sustainable bullish news is absolutely like hands down MicroStrategy. But I also think that the PayPal thing, like we knew about PayPal and Venmo like 3 months prior or something like that. That rumor. There were pretty verified rumors at that point, though. Like there had been a number of people who really said it and made it clear that was coming. And I think it was really just one of those situations where you just get good news all the time, and the price is primed to do what it's about to do. And then there's just a little catalyst that just kind of like kicks the dust off the top and gets it rolling. And that's what PayPal was. Like, I think the price would have, like, if PayPal hadn't said anything, I still think the price would have gone up. So I think that's mostly froth. I think it did put it in kind of in front of a lot of people, and maybe encouraged, some extra oomph to the charge there. But it's still, is it even available yet, or was it still just announced?
It's kind of available to a few people.
Okay, so it's like a beta right now.
Yeah. Okay, so Nick, what's your take on that question?
Definitely MicroStrategy, I think, is the bigger news. If I'm being honest, I wasn't too bullish on the PayPal news. And that was just because they don't allow you to like actually withdraw the Bitcoin or send it to other people. But the one thing that I am optimistic for is I was having a conversation with a coworker, and he was telling me that when Cash App started, they were the same way. You could only buy it and sell it. They didn't allow you to buy it and take it off or send it to other people. So I definitely think MicroStrategy was the bigger news, but I am optimistic on PayPal getting it right and allowing people to take off their Bitcoin to their own wallet. I don't like how they have other coins than Bitcoin. I think it'd be dope as shit as heck if it was just, sorry, I didn't want to cuss or anything, but I think it'd be cool if it was just Bitcoin only. Just get rid of the noise and just focus on our next financial system.
Nick, did you have any thoughts on that Square doing better every single freaking quarter?
Oh yeah, dude, I think that's awesome. I really do. Like, I saw they were making they were selling, I think, double the amount of Bitcoin that miners are making. Like, that's insane. Like, and this leads back into the very first topic we had today, is the FOMO is going to get crazy. There's not enough Bitcoin out there, but there is enough sats.
Ooh, I like how you put it. Ugly, your turn. You had a lot to say. I was holding you back there. Now I'm letting you loose.
I'm here. I don't know why I lost the camera.
That's all right. I see you.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. I don't know what no.
But you were about to talk about Michael Saylor.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's the big news. I'm prejudiced. I just hate PayPal. I mean, I have taken them, but I just despise PayPal. I try to avoid them like the plague, and I have to take it for credit card payments. But I'm trying to just move my business, at least. If you can't pay in Bitcoin, I don't need it anyway. I'm already, I don't need to do what I'm doing. I enjoy what I'm doing. I love teaching people, how to trade. And so that's what I do. But right now I take PayPal, but boy, I don't like it. And I've never been impressed by their operation. So that's my view of PayPal. And Square, I'm just not familiar with. I've never used it, so I don't know.
All right. You might not like PayPal, but if they get a bunch of normies into this, then hey, they're
Yeah.
they're teaching a lesson too. I know you got to get out of here soon, Ugly. We've gotten, and we're going to start talking technical. So I just want to, if you want to leave now, you can leave. But do you have any conclusionary thoughts, any stories, anything you want to add that you didn't get to throw in there?
No, not really. I think that I think the election is going to be the driving news. You know, I don't think the election's over with. I do hope that I really do hope that we can expose the election process for what it is and clean it up once and for all. So in that sense, I don't think we should live with dirty elections. I think there have been dirty elections in the past, but they have been isolated. I mean, Chicago was known for it. I mean, it was just that everybody knew about it. So
yeah,
that was it. And the problem is in the major cities. I don't think that most of America, these elections are corrupt, and they definitely are in these democratic cities, and that's what this issue is about. And it's just hard to believe that with all that was going on that Biden won this thing. It just all the other election results show that Trump has been targeted. He's been targeted since 2016. He's just been a brilliant player. Like I say, I've seen presidents since Eisenhower, and I was never a Trump fan, but if nothing else, you gotta love the guy because he's fearless. He's a non-politician, and he's really playing a good game. And so I hope he wins because I love watching the show. He's putting on a great show.
It is a show. Okay, so if you want to drop out at any time, you can. If because in a second, Guy Swan's going to start talking hardcore technology. And Nick, I know you got to get out of here pretty soon too, and you could drop off whenever you wanted to. But do you have any conclusionary remarks? Anything you want to say? Anything? Just anything that was left out?
Me or
yeah. Nick, yeah.
Oh, not off the top of my head, but I want to thank you for having me on, dude. This was awesome.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the first time I was on here. Really enjoyed this again. And if you don't mind, I shill something real quick.
Please, chill.
No. Shut him up. Cut it off.
So on Bitcoin Black Friday, we're giving away 1 full Bitcoin. So if you're not following Bitcoin Black Friday already, we've partnered with Fold app and Carrot, and we're giving away 100 million sats. And all you got to do is just sign up with your email for Fold's new reward card and confirm the sign up with Carrot, and you're good to go. Like, the way I see it is a lot of people today are scrambling to get a full Bitcoin. There's only 21 million. Not everyone can own a full one. And you have the chance to win a full one for literally free. So if you haven't signed up for that, or if that interests you, I'd definitely go check it out.
Okay, Nick, real quick. So I was tinkering with this, and I've already got like myself and everybody in my close circles on Fold because I've pinned them down and forced them to do it. But how do I confirm this with Carrot? Am I like already in? Because I couldn't actually find it on the Carrot website, and the link from Fold. I just want to make sure that like I am in this, and I'm not 100% sure because the process sent me to Fold to sign up, but then when I signed in, it didn't take me anywhere, and I couldn't find anything explicit on Carrot.
So if you go to Bitcoin Black Friday's website and you click on our link and sign up from there, after you sign up, you should get an email from Fold taking you to Carrot, like directly from Fold to Carrot.
So it should be in an email.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you did not get that, just DM me on Twitter and we'll get it all sorted out.
Okay.
Nick,
so if I've already signed up, does that mean that I don't want to sign up with like a new email and just be like just creating accounts like
mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
crazy.
I understand. I will have to double check on that. So I'm not gonna say yes or no right away.
Hit me up, post it on Twitter. I'm following you, so I'll see it.
All three of these dudes are linked to below. Their Twitters are below, so follow them And Ugly and Nick, you guys don't have to leave, but I understand if you do have to leave. So
Yeah,
let us.
I have one question because I want to expose my ignorance. I should know when Black Friday, Bitcoin Friday is. Nick? Can you tell me what Friday is that?
November 27th.
Okay, it's same as regular.
I was about to say it's same as normal Black Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with your business, but hey, you'll have to educate me. I'll look at it tonight. I'm always interested in stuff, but gosh, Bitcoin's so deep. There's so many people in this thing. It's really cool. So thank you for having me on, Adam. And it's nice meeting you two guys. And I will check out your links and see what you're up to. And so we have a little studio here. Maybe we can have you here. We're trying to get a little bit better on YouTube. And but I don't do that. I'm just the ugly old personality, you know.
I think I'm following you good on Twitter.
All right. Thanks for having me, Adam, and we'll do it again.
Right, bye, Ugly. Thank you. All right, let's get to
later, man.
Peace.
Guy Swan. These next questions are for you. It's tech time on This Week in Bitcoin for all you tech heads. All right, what's up with this lightning pool thing?
Okay, so I just did an episode about it. Peter Schwega did a really good little introduction article on Bitcoin Magazine. I think that was the last episode I did, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I've been on like 3 or 4 shows the last couple of days, so I've completely lost track of time. So the lightning pool is actually really phenomenal. This is the beginnings of financial, like automated, like actual smart contract financial products on top of Bitcoin. And I've said this quite a bit on the show, going back probably 8 or 9 months, is that I think the first decentralized marketplaces on Lightning will be to create liquidity markets for Lightning, because Lightning is a bootstrapping problem. Like, people don't realize that like an analogy the way I really like to picture what's going on with Bitcoin and Lightning is that, like, Bitcoin literally is a land grab. It is a bedrock, a ledger that we can then build things on top of, and we are building network connections with explicit bandwidth, with very specific routes. It is a routing network, and you have to be well placed within that network, and you have to find liquidity. Liquidity costs money, and in the normal financial markets, the only way to get liquidity is through custodians. In the Lightning Network and in Bitcoin markets, you don't have to do that. You don't need custodians anywhere. You just need an auction. You just need a market to take place. And right now, liquidity, like having people open channels with you and make capital available to you on the Lightning Network, has been a grueling, manual, slow process. Like I'm in a bunch of Telegram groups that are like, open channels with me so that I have channels or whatever. And what you end up with is a whole bunch of channels that are kind of dead. They don't really do much, and capital just kind of sits there. And there's very suboptimal allocation because people don't really know where it's specifically needed, or where essentially it's most available. Like, basically finding the buyer and the seller has been really, really hard. And also setting some sort of a market price. And this is the beginning of a market. This is the beginning of a decentralized global marketplace to set as Nick Bhatia talks about, the Lightning Network reference rate. What is the price of liquidity for a certain specific amount of time on a global decentralized payments network? Like, what does that cost, and what is to offer up capital to somebody else without counterparty risk? Normal wallet and key risk, like wallet management risk, is always present, but it does not have counterparty risk. You still have full signing control over your keys. You have full signing control over your coins while they are in auction. You have full signing control when it lands into a Lightning channel and you are offering up for other people. And this is unheard of in financial instruments. There has never been a way to make a return without giving your capital to someone else for another another person's use. This is unique in financial history. An instrument that can pay you a yield, that can pay you a percentage back, in which it doesn't really matter who your cost of quote unquote making it available to someone else is not the fact that they might take it and run away with it. It's that you just have a time in which it is stuck there. And in the context of Lightning, it's like, or it's like a day, I think, is the default before you can exit the channel, and you have the price of a fee. But this thing is awesome. The most beautiful thing about it is that Lightning Labs built it to solve their own problems. So they have the loop in, loop out service where you can send a Lightning transaction and it basically turns back into a Bitcoin transaction. Somebody atomic swaps onto and off to the Lightning network for you. Well, they've been having a problem.
Keep going. Yeah.
Has started. Okay. So they've been having trouble finding liquidity because they've had to manually sit back on the other side and basically judge when, transactions and stuff are coming through. Where do we need liquidity? Which channels do we need to rebalance? And where do we need to open channels? And who has, capital available to open channels with? And they have built this as a way to automate this process. As soon as you have a decentralized market that's just running on its own chain, well, then you can automatically just take advantage of it if it's within your price range. You make a bid for where you need capital, where you need a new channel to satisfy the loops in, loop and loop outs, the service that you are providing to the network. And you can basically write a script to automatically open and or close channels where needed, and to offer capital up in the reverse direction so that you can return a yield. And the way this thing works is there's literally an auction at every block. And it's a blind auction, quote unquote, and you will never pay any more. It's a set rate. So every single time that this auction is batched and closed in every single block, is that everybody pays the exact same price every single block. So that, like, if I bid way too high, like on like what the cost of capital is, and somebody else bids low, but it basically evens out that the low price is the one that we should be closing at because of the amount that's available versus requested. Well, I get it at the low price. It doesn't automatically fill at my bid. It pays me the fair price. It simply won't go above my bid. So it's kind of like I set a maximum for what I'm willing to pay for it. And this happens every single block, and it batches every single time. So one of the other beautiful things about it is that you are getting additional efficiency in expanding your little Lightning network corner by batching it with everybody else who's opening and closing channels. So you're saving massively on fees with, multi-signature transactions. And then when you start adding things like Taproot in and eventually cross-signature input, we're talking about huge savings just in the ability to batch. So this is like combination, a decentralized way to batch transactions, as well as a non-custodial way to settle an auction to find capital on the Lightning network. So I don't know if that's like a little bit too far for some of the audience, but it's just a fascinating, real financial instrument, like an actual market for actual payment services to find money where it is needed, to get money allocated to where it is needed, and that is programmatic, meaning that it can be done automatically. And this is where you're going to start to see payment services really starting to roll and really being able to guarantee payments on the Lightning network rather than having to worry about, 3% of the payments not going through or not having the capital available. And then when you combine that with some of the development that's happened with Phoenix Wallet and Breeze Wallet, with having on-the-fly channel openings where you automatically push payments forward and standardized fees for all of this stuff, this is the beginnings of a financial market. This is the beginnings of an incredibly robust and multi-layered financial market.
Dude, I love how you tied Nick Baccia's, now it's a pretty old article, into this. This is the dream come true, I guess.
Yeah.
Very good, very good reference there. Okay, so you mentioned Taproot in there too. So what's the latest with Taproot?
Okay, so Taproot is merged, which basically means the code is done. And now we're waiting essentially on some sort of consensus about how we're going to implement it. Are we basically just going to set a flag day 2 years from now that says this is when it activates? Are we going to do like the BIP9 thing where 2 weeks of 95% signaling from miners, and that's when it's quote unquote done? So there's a lot going on there in just like, how do we activate it on the network? But it is merged. And that means that one of the clients very soon, one of the next releases, will have it running. We'll have something in it. We'll have Taproot in it. But Taproot is, I think Taproot is a huge, huge improvement. And one of the most beautiful things about it is that it obscures multi-sig, which I think multi-sig is one of the most important standards that we should have. Like I would be extremely happy to find out if we reached a day where every single UTXO, every single balance of Bitcoin on the Bitcoin network was a 2 of 3 multi-sig, a 3 of 5 multi-sig. Like, and however, right now, if we did that, it would take up tons of extra space on the blockchain. Right now, all of those transactions would be way more expensive than a normal 1 of 1 multi-sig, because literally you have to have 3 signatures in it, and then you say a threshold of 2. So any 2 of these that sign, but you have to write all of that information into the transaction. With Taproot, you have 1 signature, whether it's a 90 out of 100 keys, whether it's 2 out of 3, or whether it's 1 of 1. No matter what, you have 1 signature on the chain. And that is a huge deal. It's a huge deal for privacy. It's a huge deal for efficiency. And it is a huge deal for further distributing keys on the Bitcoin network. I think a Bitcoin network where every single UTXO is defended by 3 keys is far more decentralized than every UTXO behind 1 key.
I've got a broader question here, because there's so many different corners in Bitcoin. You got the tech people, the gold 2.0 people. Do you think the Michael Saylors of the world know about what you just discussed, or care about Taproot and the Lightning innovation, or are they just, it's golden hold for them?
I think they will, but I think right now it's less of a concern. From like Michael Saylor's point of view, like even a $50 transaction fee is peanuts. Like they can't like that's, it's like saying, oh, I've saved 99% of any and every cost that I have with moving this amount of money. Oh, but I really got to get that extra 0.8%. Like they're not concerned about that. They're just looking at the staggering difference, the chasm between, keeping your funds in real estate, buying treasury bonds, buying gold, and trying to move all of those things, and trying to move those things on, a weekend or a banking holiday, and the closing costs and all of this sort of stuff. When you're looking at that and then you compare it to Bitcoin, it's so hilariously, the chasm is so freaking huge that like they're not going to care. It's somebody like me who's just sending a random transaction from my wallet to my computer that goes, oh crap, $5 fees. Man, it'd be great if that was only $2.50. But he doesn't even know, like that whole scope of the environment that's being introduced into this market, which is why a Lightning Network is really important for retail. They're not going to care. $20 fees, $50 fees, $100 fees, they're going to pay it because it's night and day from the world they're coming from, which will push up fees really heavily on the base layer. But that's why I think we should have dedicated, automated onboarding onto Lightning. Customers, like new people into Bitcoin, when you're moving $50, $100, you should come onto Lightning before touching Bitcoin on chain. And things like Breeze and Phoenix and this auction, the Lightning Pool, Strike, all of these things are making that exactly possible. Like you know, Memple's been crazy last week or so, like week and a half with the hash rate shift and all this stuff. I haven't noticed it. I do everything on Lightning. My fees have been the same, you know, 5 sats per transaction, 10 sats, you know, maybe. And I've been using it like crazy. I got I refill usually over strike sometimes. But I have been as comfortable as it gets. I look at the mempool and I think, oh, that's crazy. And then I go buy something on Fold and it costs me a penny.
Now, we all remember the scaling debate, and the base layer of Bitcoin was not affected. It was not changed to expand the block size, and they created a fork. But today we have Ethereum, and they're solving their issues with Ethereum 2.0. They're really changing things up. In the world of Bitcoin, we love the stability of the base layer. There's only ever going to be 21 million, et cetera, et cetera. Here on Ethereum 2.0, it's a whole new world. So I had it in the title, so why not bring it up as one of the last subjects? What is going on with this Ethereum 2.0 thing? Do you think it's going to help? Do you think they're going to be able to pull it off? Is it a gimmick? Is it legitimate? What's your take, Guy?
I think it's probably going to be in the next 6 months or so, probably the worst decision Ethereum has made. I think moving, one of the only good things that I think Ethereum has been going for it is that it's got pretty distributed hash rate. And it's also not susceptible to Bitcoin miners. So it's not competing with Bitcoin for hash rate. Whereas Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV could be, you know, like somebody could take a tiny little corner off of the Bitcoin hash rate and just obliterate both of those chains. I think that's that's one of the biggest security bonuses or integrity bonuses of Ethereum right now. And I think there will be like a hype bridge. Like I think there will be maybe a little bit of a pump of just people all excited about Ethereum 2.0, like it's going to make a difference. But I think it's horrible from a security perspective. I think they're making a huge step towards centralization, and they're just not reinstituting, but they're reaffirming their choice to just make the monetary policy, make the security policy, make the integrity of the chain, whatever the hell is convenient or whatever is just feels good at any one time. And Ethereum is just an application. It's just a piece of software. It is just not money. And I think this will just double down on like the corporate world. Nobody's gonna hold that crap. Nobody's gonna, like Michael Saylor talks about it. It's like, don't tell me how you're gonna change the protocol and how you're gonna fundamentally alter its security practices, and you're just gonna throw around the integrity of the whole monetary system as if it's just a toy that you're playing with or it's some JavaScript code on a website. I don't want to hear that. That means that it is scary to put money in your system, and it will never be a foundational money. I think this is a terrible idea from their perspective, or from my perspective of what they are doing. But yeah, you know, what are you gonna do?
I love that final point. That, you know, of all the coins out, the only one people are putting in their treasuries is Bitcoin. Why? Yeah. Because it's stable. So yeah, this. You know, they're not going to mess with something that can change willy-nilly like this. I say good luck to the Ethereum people. Let them experiment. I don't want it to see it destroyed or anything like that. But
sure, no hard feelings. I don't really care. I think it's a bad choice.
Yeah, well, again, it is indeed the rock, Bitcoin, and people, the big money wants the stability. They want something that is not going to change for 100 years or whatever, willy-nilly. All right, so that's it. We're at the end of the show here. Guy, promote everything that you're doing, or bring up any topics that were not brought up, or anything you wanted to say that you didn't get to say. The floor is yours.
All right. Yeah, listen to Bitcoin Audible. I've really been pumping out stuff on that, and I try to dig into all this stuff in really serious depth on the show whenever I have the opportunity. Ramping up a lot of new interviews, really some exciting stuff coming around. Shitcoin Insider. I guess I'm sorry about the cursing, but that's the name of the show. Me and my co-host have started up that show. We're one episode in, and we've got like 2 or 3 planned for the future, and I think that's really exciting. And a lot of people really enjoyed our first episode. So that's coming as well. But if you just find me, I'm Guy Swan, the guy who's written more about Bitcoin than anybody else you know. And yeah, just keep learning. I think as we get into this bull market here, which I think is going to be a sustained run for a really long time, it's going to kind of get scary. And as I have been saying again and again, learn now. Learn while we still have the opportunity, while our balances are still, in the low amounts of capital. Put it behind multisig. Like this Silk Road thing, this guy has been holding it, not moving it from 2014. He should have taken care of multisig. He should have had a far better security setup and far better distribution of his keys. And, look what it cost him. And I mean, obviously don't do crime and that will help. But just in a general sense, take the time, learn how to hold your own keys, withdraw from whatever custodian you have, and know that you have a strong foundation and you know what you're doing as this thing goes 5x and 10x from here. Because I truly think we'll see it, and it'll be really scary, and it'll be a lot harder to do it while the avalanche is falling. So do it now.
Exciting times ahead. Jump into the fire. Thank you, Guy Swan. Thank you, my other guest too, who had to leave. I'm Adam Meister, the BitcoinMeister. We do this freaking This Week in Bitcoin every freaking Friday. Pound that freaking like button. I'll see you guys tomorrow with the regular show. You get all sorts of shows here. Keep on coming back to disruptmeister.com every single freaking day. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Have a great weekend. Thanks a lot, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Take it easy, guys.
All right.